Hey there, you all. It's Nikki B here.
What's up? It's just Joseph.
Futureland365 right here on WOVU.
Yeah, this episode right here is all about youth empowerment. We had the amazing Carlos Laboy from Junior Achievement. Hey, and if you're interested in building a bridge for the youth, impacting your communities, then you want to tune in to this episode right here.
Tap in. Peace. Awesome and amazing day, you all. It's Nikki B here.
And it's just Joseph.
Welcome to Futureland365, where we highlight Cleveland's bold creators, innovators, and entrepreneurs. And you guys, oh my gosh, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to all of our social media platforms, Futureland CLE, as well as futurelandcle.com, because you don't want to miss any of the events that we have coming up. We have jam-packed workshops, social events, all kind of things for you guys to connect, create, and get inspired.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channels. Might as well like this video, on YouTube and leave a comment. Show some love.
Absolutely. So you guys, just as always, we have an amazing guest in the building, just Joseph. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? We have back-to-back amazing guests.
Oh yeah, that's typical for us though.
It's typical because we are the Futureland, right? Futureland 365. All right, you guys. So we are talking building futures, workforce readiness, and youth empowerment with Mr. Carlos Laboy.
Carlos, welcome, man. It's good to see you, man. How you doing?
Thank you so much. It's good seeing you again. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for being here. We appreciate the work that you do. And then our guests are like, well, what work does he do, you guys, right? So we'll share that with you. He's a director of director of community and workforce development, Junior Achievement of Cleveland. Man, I wish, like I was telling you off camera, I wish I would have known about this program when I was younger. You know, I don't want to go into regret or anything like that, but I see these types of programs and I'm like, oh my gosh, my parents were just working a lot, right? We focused on putting us in sports and things like that to keep us busy and to keep us out of trouble. I think if we would have known and understood this program, my mom would have been like, oh yeah, or my dad would have been like, oh yeah, you're going over there, right? So before we get too far involved in your role, tell us a little bit more, or just tell us about who Carlos Laboy is.
My name is Carlos. I'm actually originally from Puerto Rico, but moved around a little bit, but settled in Cleveland like when I was 12 years old. So graduated from John Marshall High School, went to Cleveland State. I was an athlete at John Marshall and played some baseball at CSU and was kind of a student athlete
a Viking.
For some time.
I didn't know you was a full. I'm in there with you.
So, I've kind of been in Cleveland for a long time. I actually had returned to Puerto Rico a little bit after college, but ended up coming back to Cleveland and really just focusing on my career. Actually got into the nonprofit field in 2010, so I've been doing it for about 15 years. I started at the Spanish American Committee, doing like home visiting programs, working with people, talking about child development. I knew nothing about child development at 24, 25, but it led me to this kind of passion of I was interested in helping people and working with young people and families, and ended up going to Esperanza on Cleveland's west side, and I was teaching an after-school leadership program. So that got me kind of some insight of what's happening in the schools, and then, got into the community, was doing some work on a community level at a local community development corporation, and fortunately for me, I connected with the future president of Junior Achievement of Greater Cleveland through that work. And I was excited when he told me about the fact that I was going to get a chance to, really focus on that career exploration, career readiness piece, because I think like you, that was something I kind of regretted I never really dove into when I was in school. And so I can share a lot of my experiences with students while also building like these partnerships, these events, just creating a space where we can like maximize that like sharing of wealth with our young people, right, through volunteers in our community.
Man, that's so good. Creating safe spaces, right?
Yeah.
Creative, innovative, inspiring workspaces. Well, not workspaces, but spaces
Right.
overall, right? For
Right.
our youth, because we can't talk about the future, right? Or have a future land
Yeah.
without our youth. So I think it's so important, and I think it's super cool, right? That you tap
Yeah.
into your youth or
Yeah.
your younger Carlos
Yeah.
to be able to connect with the youth. So tell us more about the Junior Achievement Program
Yeah.
and how you're involved with that.
Yeah, so Junior Achievement, some people know about it, some people don't, but it's something that it's a nonprofit organization. It's a educational organization that focuses on three primary pillars. So financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and
Hold on,
career
let me
readiness.
get my pen here.
Yes, those are the big three. Those are the big three things that Junior Achievement's focused on. What people don't realize that Junior Achievement's been around for over 100 years.
Oh, wow.
That is.
I did
Right?
not know that.
It
Wow.
started. It
I
actually.
can't believe that, right?
Right? Yeah.
It's
Sometimes
like, it seems so fresh, though, right?
It does.
It seems so
it's
fresh.
changed over the years, but it started as an after-school entrepreneurship program, and now it's expanded. It's K to 12. It's even working with young adults, right? Still focus on those three pillars, but as you can see, it's expanded beyond just an after-school program. Now it's all across the country, all across the world. From what I've seen, over 10 million people or students, are being served worldwide. So it's crazy the reach that it has, but it's something that it's been around for a long time, and clearly because of the history of it, it definitely has a lot of backing. People recognize it, and it's something that it's continuing to expand and just change, right? Because we're starting to move into a different direction with Junior Achievement. But overall, people know us for the volunteers that come into classrooms, engage with students, and really talk about those three different pillars that we mentioned at an age-appropriate level.
Wow, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about the work that you do there.
Yeah, so I'm the Director of Community and Workforce Development. I got to make that title up when I started.
It
How
sounds
long
fancy.
did it take to get there, though? How long did it take?
I think that was part of the deal. I was like, can I, come up with a cool title?
Yeah.
But it kind of, I wanted to have the community piece in there.
Yeah.
Right. But really the focus of my role is anything that has to do with career exploration or career readiness. And I was just talking with students about this to say, I'm either trying to help you figure out what you want to do, and then hopefully helping you get there. And hopefully either being able to keep that job or move up or expand, right? That career readiness piece, especially with the soft skills, having those conversations with students, because there's a lot of different elements that we need to teach the students. So anything from events where you're doing a career expo to bringing students to companies and just engaging with real people in the community, or bringing in speakers to engage with students in a variety of fields. That's what I'm all about.
Well, I can say, because I saw it firsthand, that you really are about what you say you're about. I got to come to one of Junior Achievement's events earlier in the year at the Cleveland Auditorium, and man, it was so many kids there, and I'm just looking around man, I did not know that this was as big as it was. So I got there, and through Futureland, I got to partner my organization Peace to Perform with Junior Achievement to speak to. I had close to 200 kids that I was speaking to in one of my seminars.
Are you able to contain them and keep them?
Oh yeah, I
steady
get them. I know how to get their
straighten
attention.
them.
You know what I'm saying?
No one hit me up on the walkie to come downstairs and make sure everything was good. So
Coach
I know
Joseph
you
is
were
fun,
doing your
though,
thing.
so I can see that.
I know how to get them kids in line, man. But no, it was a good time, and they were really just attentive, and but it was an amazing event. So talk about a little bit of an event like that just took place.
Yeah, that particular event is what we call JA Inspire. So you'll see these across the country, and every area gets a chance to kind of do it their own way. So we do it a little differently. Most folks would just do maybe that career walk piece that you saw in the public hall space. But we incorporate not only that career walk where there's a bunch of different partners from various industries coming in and engaging with students, especially like trying to do like hands-on interactive things to just educate the students. But we also incorporate the workshops, and so you were a part of that that work. So it could be anything from, you know, what a good resume looks like to like engaging with like dynamic entrepreneurs, right? You know, just learning about a variety of things. My goal is just try to give them a little bit of everything so they walk away with something, right? So Inspire is really a really cool and fun event where we invite a bunch of students from primarily Cuyahoga County, but we also do some outreach to Lorain County, Lake and Geauga County. So they're a part of our footprint.
Absolutely. As Nikki B stated, you know, we can't talk about, you know, Futureland without speaking about the youth, because that is the future, you know, and we have to make sure we're pouring into them, building them up so that they're ready to, you know, make Cleveland and surrounding areas a much better place, right? So talk about that work and the impact that you have seen in your position.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, this is something that I deal with a lot, especially even just like working with partners, right? Not only am I trying to educate our young people about what their future looks like and what it could be, right? Whether it's putting words to the things they're already doing, right? Or just giving them that exposure they need. But I'm also, on the flip side, engaging with a lot of our community partners and trying to teach them on like, how do you communicate with your future workforce? Are you looking at these young people as either future clients or your future workforce or something like that? Because we need to start putting time and energy into those young people, right? We got to meet them halfway.
Got to.
And so half of the work, you know, when we're talking about just like trying to expose young people to things that are going to happen in the future, we're also trying to work with our partners to meet them halfway and teach them what's coming, right? What's changing in this field? What's, you know, the next big thing? And where do our young people align with that?
Right.
So that work is really those two sides of the, you know, the coin there, where I'm trying to not only
Like
just engage with our students,
bridging the gap.
you are trying you're really trying to build that, you know, bridge that gap, as you're saying, on both sides, because I'm constantly arguing, and not really arguing, but really trying to push.
Fighting for the kids.
I'm trying to push for companies to even look at this work where you volunteer in a classroom isn't something that you just do for, oh, I got to take an hour and come out here. You should be looking at as you're planting a seed for the future, but you're also doing this as part of your like talent recruitment.
Yeah.
Right?
Good.
You should be thinking about it from that lens. And so I've even argued with companies to say, you may want to start putting some funding where you hire someone that can go full time into these schools, because if you wait till they get to college or they get outside of high school, they're hard to find. And then they go on that long journey. So, you know, half of the work is not just the engagement with the students, but it's also with the partners and really like getting them both to see what the future looks like.
That's good. That's really good insight. Yeah.
So when we like to educate here and start at the basic, right? So when you say community partners or partners, give a couple of examples of partners and name that. What does that mean, or who are some of those partners?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, you know, we got to connect through like Alicia Ellis. That's a partner for me, right? The fact that she was someone that was already connected in that entrepreneurship space.
Yeah.
But then you have like corporate partners where you have relationships with like Sherwin-Williams, for example, right? Where we are really working hard to get them into the schools to talk about the careers there, specifically those STEM careers that they have. You know, talking about accounting, talking about the R&D, talking about all those different things. So we, you know, it can be from nonprofits or folks kind of in the community, in the business field, or those corporate partners, right? Those are a lot of the partners that we bring in to speak and engage with our students. But we're also starting to expand that out a little bit to like our local universities and colleges, because they have such amazing programs. And we're trying to actually tie kind of both sides together to say, hey, if you really like that, you know, that speaker that came in, well, let's talk about some of the routes that are available for you, right? Especially on the educational side, because it's that, you know, that financial literacy piece is like, hey, you know, you may need to think about this career or this path from like that money lens, right? Because
Right.
we also don't want you to come out of it with a ton of debt.
Right.
Listen, Carlos, that is huge, right?
Huge.
Because I've learned, and I pose this question to my nephews, and because I realized me asking them the question, right? What do you want to be when you grow up? It's not that great of a question, because if we don't know, right? How do I know?
Yeah.
Besides maybe perhaps a lawyer, doctor, police officer,
Yeah.
teacher, right? We know, we see those things, but we
Right.
don't know what else is out there.
Yeah.
So I started asking them the question, well, what kind of life do you want to live, right?
That's the question to ask, because you, as you said, what do you want to be when you grow up? That is a loaded
Yes,
question,
so much there.
right? Because it really depends on how much support do you have around you, who's mentoring you, what's the situation at home? We don't know, right? And then sometimes, I know for me that was a hard question. If you asked me anything outside a Major League Baseball player, I could not tell you anything
Facts.
Yeah.
because I just had a hard time envisioning that. And you're right, we kind of see, where we are, and you kind of see what's out there, and you go, is that it?
Limited.
You
Yeah, you don't
it may
know.
depend. So yeah, I think that question is, I love the way you phrase it, because sometimes, even yesterday, I had an event where I talk to kids and I tell them, don't get caught up in a job title. Don't get caught up in the title of the job. What do you want the job to look like? And for me, because I never envisioned being in this sort of role, but I always knew I wanted to help my community. That's where it started. And so you're just trying to help kids kind of think of it from that perspective, because a lot of times they just don't know themselves yet.
Yeah.
And I think there's arguments where, how early do you talk with them about careers and all that? I go, you always want to expose them. But the other pieces, let's help them figure a little bit about themselves, because they need to be able to tell their story. So then when they go on that journey, right, we can start pointing them in the right direction.
Wow. Well, that's really good. And that's a great place to take a quick break. And we're going to come back, and you're going to tell us about some of the success stories from Junior Achievement. So I'm excited to hear about that. So we'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Futureland365 show. I'm here with Nikki B.
Hey.
And it's just Joseph. And we are here with the amazing Carlos Laboy from Junior Achievement. And we've been having a great conversation. He has a passion for the youth and seeing them grow and develop. And so tell us a little bit about, from your perspective, the work that Junior Achievement does and the success that you have seen from it, and maybe even give us a story of something you've seen.
Yeah, it's funny because right before I came in, right, people, when you say you're with Junior Achievement, it sparks something. Either they were volunteers or they were students, and they remembered, we built a little business, back in, 20, 30 years ago, and now I'm doing this, right? So, those experiences, I think, they're just critical to like bring, the teachers can talk all day about what, curriculum and the things they're teaching in the classroom, but it isn't until they get those experiences that like that light bulb starts to go off, where they go, that's why they're teaching us this in school. This is why they're making us come in every day at a certain time for time management, right? This is why we have group projects, right? So
clicks.
It starts to click through those experiences. And, I kind of brought the phone out, I didn't mean to, but just
No, you good.
so, I wanted to share at least one story where, there was a Matthew Vulku, who he was a student actually at Westlake High School, and he participated in one of our events called the Stock Market Challenge. So students get taught like the basics of what a stock market is, right? What it means to invest in that space. And then they get to, go through
Like a full immersive.
Yeah, so they go
like
through this.
Like
yeah,
a
they
mock
go through
trial,
the
but like mock
they go
trading.
through the curriculum and all that, but they get put together with a team, and they go and compete at a real competition.
Oh, wow.
And there's real money tied
Right.
to that competition, so
Right.
it gets the juices kind of flowing. But he loved it so much, right? He ended up going into the field and then even coming back and teaching in the classroom, right? So those experiences, you're hoping to do more and more of those, because I think when they feel that, right, they feel that connection, they jump into that field, it open up something for them. They want to give back, right? And so those experiences, I think they're critical, because I think if you're kind of figuring it out on your own, and it takes a long time to figure out versus like going through a program like this, right? I think people are more willing to give back through these sort of experiences that they get.
100%. And we've had these conversations on previous episodes where we talk about the 3 E's.
Yes.
Exposure.
So 3 E's, exposure, education, and experience. Yes. I think Cameron Jones, was he talking about that? Him and DJ Step One. That's something that they're really big on. So to hear you talking about it, I don't want to say so early, but I think at a pivotal time in a young person's life to where they're able to make a decision like, oh, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, right? And to know like, yep, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Yeah, I would say I think that's something I usually, when you talk with students, especially when they're afraid that they're not going to like the experience, I have to remind them constantly, like, that's actually pretty important information, right? You should experience as much as you can, and you need to really break down, I love this, I hated that. Right? I think that's super important. But then, it's funny, we've done these like site visits, right? And a student will tell me, I want to be a nurse, and let's go talk to a real life nurse.
Right.
And that conversation does one or two things.
Right.
Hate it or love it.
It either scares them off because they realize it's not as easy as you think, or that doesn't scare me. I want to dive into it. And it's kind of the same thing with like our entrepreneurs, right?
Let's talk about it.
I mean, we were kind of, just talking a little bit about that, but these kids hear this word. Do they know what it means, right, to be an entrepreneur? And so that exposure to real entrepreneurs, people that have started businesses, and sometimes the students don't even realize they've started multiple businesses. They've failed 3 or 4 times before they came in. Do you have the fortitude to get over that, right? You need to have certain types of skills to overcome those challenges and adversity. And it isn't until you have that conversation with an entrepreneur that you realize, oh, goodness, I didn't know you went through that. I had a friend from Jumpstart, Jose Colon, that he's very popular in our community, but people don't realize, like, hey, he's had 2 or 3 businesses that didn't work out. And yet he's still doing that work at Jumpstart, and he's got another business going, right? But kids don't realize it's not overnight success, right? They get caught up in the end result. And they need to have that conversation, be exposed to the real, because they may be going down a path that is not for them. And so that's my goal ultimately. I'm not here to dream for them. I'm here to help them just figure out what that is.
Yeah, that's so good. Something we talked about off camera before we got started here is just that, right? The mentorship and the coaching, right? I've learned that it cuts the time in half, right? To the path, right? The path and the journey to where you need to be and where you need to go. Because I think it's so important, and it's just very important for you to have a mentor or a coach, because they share with you what not to do, right? Although it's important for you to have those experiences, however, it is vital that you have someone that can share with you their experience and what they had to go through, right? Because it cuts your scars in half, right? You don't have to fall as many times as I did.
It's
right?
gonna be it's gonna be a bumpy road regardless. What you're just hoping is that it's not a super long bumpy road, right?
Yeah, that part is not as super long.
I mean, I'd rather learn from somebody else's mistakes than have to make those same ones.
Come on,
just
just Joseph.
Right.
Yes. That's exactly right. So we talked about success stories. We talked about exactly the impact that junior achievement has on the community. and throughout the nation, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So I think that's so important. And we just talked about some career readiness, things like that. We're just rolling through here, as well as the partnerships in the different schools and things like that, right? So you were talking about the soft skills, right? So how do you teach, or what component of the program helps the kids understand what soft skills are?
Yeah, we have a few different programs. So we have one program which is like JA Job Shadow. So that's definitely one where kids that, maybe a little more immersed, they'll go into go and visit a company and have some informational interviews with real life professionals. At the same time, there's another program I like to use called JA It's My Job, right?
It's my job.
But we really talk about a few different things like communication, specifically how we verbally communicate, but also how we communicate in writing. I've had to, explain to kids like, hey, the email's not like texting your friend.
Yeah.
Like there's actually a form, and they don't know that.
Right.
And sometimes we hold it against them. They go, they don't know what they don't
You
know.
don't know what you don't know.
They don't
That's
know
great.
that, right? Because it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
different world they grew up in.
Yeah.
But we use a program like that where we're talking about communication. We're talking about teamwork. We're talking about conflict resolution. You have to deal with problems. You cannot
I have
get away
to
from let's
face.
talk
I have
through
to
this.
face conflict.
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
And to say that conflict is also, it's not just a negative thing, it's a positive thing.
Right.
And so that like a program like that really delves into those like scenarios. And if we have a really good partner, especially an example I work with the Cleveland Guardians, and we have a fellowship program with the retail workers, specifically CMSD students that we've helped kind of usher in, but we give them that program and we talk about real life scenarios they deal with in retail, right? And so
And retail is a beast.
it's a beast. It's a good job. It's a great job they have,
yes,
but even
yeah.
then they, and we get a chance to have that conversation.
That holding your professionalism, holding your composure,
Right.
and being able to stay cool, calm, and collective, and sharing
Right.
facts and communicating, going past the barrier of your emotions, right?
Right.
Because our emotions really try to drive us.
Yeah.
So once you understand, like, nope, you do not drive me, right? I'm professional. I'm cool. I'm
Yeah.
calm. I'm collective, right?
Yeah.
I can communicate very well, right?
And yeah, we have those conversations that say too, like, hey, you got to process those emotions in a certain way because it isn't easy. You may want to say what's on your mind at first, but
Right.
let's kind of work through that. Let's think about the consequences. And that space is
Yeah.
huge for them
Yeah.
because let's let them work out the kinks in that space so that when they go back, into the real world, right, it's a little bit easier transition,
Right.
or they now
Yeah.
have some skills in that tool, in that, in their toolbox that they can use in the future.
Yeah, that's huge, and that's so needed for our young people because, we see so many instances where those skills are not put into practice, and it ends up being a harmful situation, and a lot of things that's happening, especially in Cleveland, that need to be fixed. So we appreciate the work that you do. So how could someone get involved in helping out and being a part, maybe a volunteer of Junior Achievement, or
Yeah, for us, the volunteers are our lifeline, and so we'll share my contact. I always encourage anybody who's watching this or listening, shoot me an email. I can schedule a call. We can schedule a virtual visit. We can do a meeting. But we need volunteers, and I'll be very specific to say we really need more volunteers of color to come and participate with us, because that's one area that I've been really trying to work on. I've been doing a great job of getting more Latinos in the room through just the work that I've also done beyond JA. But we need more people of color to come in and be seen by these students, because that's one of the biggest challenges. And you can talk about STEM all day, but if your representatives don't reflect the population that you're talking to, they need to see themselves in that.
100%.
Right? And that was important for me because I saw, I had a mentor that I kind of saw in this space, and it made me realize, hey, I could do that, because not a lot of Puerto Rican guys were doing this type of work, right? And so I think it's the same thing. I think it's important to find volunteers that are willing to come in and talk to students. And the great thing too, if you're interested in volunteering, don't worry if you're nervous. Kids they don't always remember everything that you're talking to them about. They
Right.
remember how you make them feel, right? That Maya
Yes.
Angelou quote, right? And it's very true. We go,
It
they
is.
remember how you came in and made them feel.
Right.
And at the same time, we can train you, we can work with you, we will support you. So definitely want to reach out to me at my email. It's just my name, so claboy@jacleveland.org. It's the best way to get a hold of me. I'll set something up.
Yeah,
Love
that's
Yeah.
and that's so true what you said, because like even when I came to speak, I poured my all into these kids and I'm giving them everything. They come up to me after, did you really play with Donovan Mitchell? Like, did you get anything
That happened
that
to me
I said?
So that happened to me. Yes, I was in Lorain County, but I've given them kind of the spiel of this is how you're going to go into the career walk. But I mentioned I played baseball and I was Puerto Rican, and these kids were coming up to me just like, so what town are you from? And so we just get to
Right.
talking.
Yeah.
And so it gives me an extra opportunity to
Yeah.
let's talk a little more. And then
Right.
I encourage them, all right, make sure to go around that room, right? But they need to see that.
Yeah.
Because we can say you can be whatever you want, but if you don't see yourself out there,
Yeah.
that's very scary. So
100%.
yeah, we just encourage
Representation
more
matters.
people to reach
Matters.
out and get connected.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so make sure y'all do that. My BIPOC leaders, entrepreneurs, business owners,
in.
we need to tap in with Junior Achievement, hit them up, because we need more volunteers. We need more, people showing up and become a part of Futureland as well. If you're out there listening, making sure you subscribe, but also
For
become a
sure.
part of this Futureland family. This is what we do here.
Yeah, I think that's so important to share your skill sets.
Yeah.
Share your talents, right?
Right.
And yes, being nervous, that's one thing. But as my dad always said, being nervous is a good thing, right? That means that you care.
That means you care.
That means you
Yes.
care, right? So don't be afraid to show off those skill sets and those talents, because those talents and skill sets that you have, that 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old has the same thing. And then boom, you made a connection and they're able to see what they want to be, right?
Ooh, I like
They
that.
didn't
See
even know
what they
that
wanna
though,
be.
right? We could put those in one of your songs.
Yeah, I might have to step
Okay,
from Nick and B.
okay. But I'm gonna have to do
I'll
it
give you
though. I'm gonna
credit.
have to do
I'll
the
give you
vocals.
song credit.
Okay, great. Well, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Carlos Laboy, for not only what you do, but who you are, right? Because we hear your heart here,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
I have to echo what Just Joseph was talking about. Thank you for doing the work.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
We
doing the work
appreciate
here.
you, and you seem so excited. Well, I've seen all of the videos and all the things. The kids are super excited, and the events that you put on really tells about how much you care about the work that you do and who
Yeah.
you are again. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You're
No doubt.
welcome. Just Joseph, do you have any key takeaways from today?
That we need more people to take the lead and take the initiative of signing up to be, an example for the youth. They need to see representation. They need to see us in action, and just being a bridge and showing them what's possible, because they need to see what they can be, and so that's where we come in. And so, make sure that you give back. It's important for you to be successful in your field and give it your all, but also help the next one up, because somebody did it for you, so do it for someone else.
Right. That just prompts me to think about what my mom wrote on a.
What your mama wrote?
She wrote on a receipt when I was a hostess or a server. I was a server at the time, right? And she wrote on there. I was looking for the tip, right? I'm like, that's my mom. She gonna write a tip. No,
Right.
she said, here's the tip. Never look down on a man unless you're helping him up, right?
Oh,
and that
okay. I
has
like
stuck
that.
with me. So again, piggybacking off of what Just Joseph is talking about, we talk about there's no one to show our kids. You be the change that you want to see in the world. All right, you all. Well, that's it. That's all. Nikki B here.
Just Joseph.
Well, till next time, you all. Peace.